Hello! Welcome to OJ Studios. Please enjoy this week's chapter of The Birthday Party by Olivia Julius. Chapter 4: The Girly Closet. Bridget took me into her room and closed the door behind us. I walked over to the foot of the bed and watched as Bridget went into her walk-in closet and pulled out a pink storage container. "You do know that I'm too small to wear your clothes, don't you?" I asked. "Too small for what? The clothes I wear now?" Bridget asked, faking a shocked expression. "These are my clothes back when I was your age and they have been in the attic ever since." Bridget opened the storage containers, and I peered inside. "So how did you know I was going to want to wear a dress?" I asked, motioning to the box. Bridget shrugged a little. "Coincidence," Bridget said. "I was about to give these to Goodwill. But now you can have them, little sis." I looked over at her and raised an eyebrow. "I don't want girls' clothes, especially your clothes," I said, but Bridget didn't listen and instead picked up a baby blue dress from the top of the pile. "I think this will look cute on you," she said, putting it up next to me. I rolled my eyes and took the dress from her and looked at it. The material of it was softer than my t-shirt. The sleeves were only long enough to cover the shoulders, plus the neckline was dotted with embroidered flowers, making the dress even more girly. I bulked a little as I could only imagine what the boys in my class would say if they knew about this. "Why this dress?" I asked. Bridget shrugged a little. "It's a good starter dress for you," Bridget said, taking the dress back. "It has no zippers, no sashes to worry about, and it has short sleeves, so it should feel like you're wearing a really long shirt." Bridget put the dress back in front of me. I looked down at it questionably, trying to decide whether I should wear it. "The contest is for fancy type dresses," I said. "This one just looks plain." "It's to get you used to them," Bridget said. "You never worn a dress before, so you're going to have to learn the rules of wearing them before you can wear something fancy." "What rules?" I asked. I looked at the dress that Bridget still held in front of me as I wondered what type of rules I had to follow when wearing dresses. "Put it on and I'll tell you," Bridget said as she started to bunch the bottom of the dress together, getting ready to put it over my head. I stepped back for a second, still nervous about wearing a dress. Bridget looked down at me questionably. "There's nothing to be scared of," she said. "It's only a piece of clothing. It's not going to hurt you." I nodded my head and put my arms up, allowing her to slide the dress down my body. I kept my eyes closed, knowing that if I watched Bridget doing this, then I would most likely freak out. I mean, what was going on was weird enough. Here I was in Bridget's room, allowing her to put me in one of her old dresses. Finally, I could hear her stand up as she looked me over. I opened my eyes and saw her looking down at me with a little hint of a grin forming on her mouth. "Do I look bad?" I asked, looking down at myself. The view I saw was weird. To my male brain, looking down with a dress wrapped around the dress was so weird that I couldn't fully comprehend it. "Look for yourself," Bridget said, shutting her closet door where a full length was hanging. I turned my head and looked at the mirror as Bridget stood behind me smiling. The expression on my face goes from terror to shock. Instead of seeing a boy in a dress looking back at me, I saw a girl with short brown hair looking back at me. Somehow my very unboyish features made me look more like a girl than I ever could have thought possible. "Is that me?" I asked, as I looked down at my legs. The dress covered my legs down to my knees, where my now oddly out of place jeans started. "You know, the dress will look better if you take off your jeans," Bridget said. I looked back at her, unsure if I should take her advice or keep them on. I know that girls normally don't wear pants under their dresses, but also, I know nothing about being in a dress or how to walk or even sit in an open bottom garment. Was this the rules that Bridget was talking about? Realizing Bridget was going to be satisfied until I did what she said, I carefully undid my pants and allowed them to drop to the floor, revealing my bare legs. I stepped out of the jeans and walked back to the bed, now feeling the dress bounce and twirl around my legs. The feeling felt foreign to my male brain as I purposefully made wide turns. "Good," Bridget said, smiling at me. "Now lesson 1, spin around." I looked back at her, questioning her order. What did she mean? Bridget rolled her eyes and bent down next to me. "See how the dress has the pleats around your feet?" she asked. I nodded my head yes. "They'll raise up when you start to spin," Bridget exclaimed, leading me to the middle of her room. So, give it a try and spin. I spun around as fast as I could, and I felt the dress slowly start to rise around me. The feeling felt good yet somehow weird at the same time. How did it feel? Bridget asked. I liked it. I answered back, smiling. Good. Bridget said, smiling even more than I am. I think it's time to discuss this week then, she said, beckoning me to the bed. What do you mean? I asked, flopping down on her bed, not noticing that my legs were spread out and my boxers were in full view of Bridget. Well, first of all, that's not how you sit like a lady, she said, pointing to how I sat. I looked down and saw my mistake and tried to cover my legs in boxers, but Bridget made me stop. Okay, time for lesson 2, she said, standing up. I followed her lead and stood up. She then showed me how to sit down by smoothing out the dress with my left hand while keeping my legs together as I sat down. It took me a few tries, but I soon got the hang of it. Bridget gave me an approving smile and then sat down next to me. So, here's my plan, Bridget said. Your party is this weekend, and since today is Monday, this will give us plenty of time to get you ready for the party. What do you mean, plenty of time? I asked. I'm wearing a dress right now perfectly, aren't I? I asked. Bridget shook her head now and pointed down at my legs. I can see your boxers, she spoke. Before this week is over, I want you to get to the point where I don't ever see what you are wearing under your dress, okay? Bridget asked. I nodded my head and closed my legs. This was going to be harder than I thought. Once Bridget was satisfied, she continued. Like I said, Saturday is the big day, so for the next few days you will come home, and until Mom and Dad come home you will wear a dress and you will be practicing in it. I nodded my head. On Wednesday there is no school and Mom and Dad will put me in charge, so all day Wednesday you will be my sister. Got it? I forced myself to nod my head to hide the fact that I was nervous about her plan. So far Bridget has been nice about this whole thing. This was very unlike her, and a voice in the back of my head wondered if Bridget has an ulterior motive to helping me. What's in it for you? I asked, and Bridget smiled ever bigger. You tell Dad that you want to go to the father-daughter dance with him this year, so I don't have to, Bridget said. My heart sunk. I didn't think about telling Mom and Dad about this. What? Did you think that Mom and Dad wouldn't know? She asked. They have too. They'll be taking you to Emily's party. I didn't think about that. But it's your choice, Jonah. Do you want to go to the party wearing pants and not be able to be in the contest, or do you want to go in a dress and win the contest? I had to think for a second. My heart was still beating as I thought about telling Mom and Dad that I want to wear a dress to a girls' party. I have no idea what they would say or how they would react. I looked back at the mirror and looked into the eyes of the girl staring back at me. Could I be able to convince them that I could wear a dress and look normal? Fine, I'll tell them, I said, sighing and giving up. Okay then, do we have a deal? Bridget asked, holding out her hand. I took her hand and shook it. Deal, I whispered, unsure of how I'm going to tell them.